let's continue to look at the impact of democracy in South Africa. In this section, we're looking at to what extent do people actually benefit from these policies? Did they work or did they not? And so we have a little cartoon about hiring more women in the government because it was a serious problem. So, did their economic policies work? Kind of. The RDP improved living conditions for millions. It helped a lot of people. 300,000 new state-subsidized homes are built. So these are the examples of these little box houses. And so these box houses are built. And this prevents things like the slums in the townships. Progress was made to supply running water and electricity into the townships. By 2001, 1.2 million new homes are built. 7 million people are supplied with access to free water, because that's a constitutional right there. 3.5 million electricity connections are made, so people are getting water, electricity, homes. However, it's not enough anymore. Millions still lack access to water, electricity, and they're building their own homes still. So they got a ways to go, but it is better. The RDP in here works to create jobs, but unemployment was still incredibly high in the 40% range. A good unemployment rate is about 5%. That's the goal. 40% is catastrophic, and your country's about to fall apart if you're at 40%. Formal worker, and so also going back to unemployment. With high unemployment, this leads to other problems like the problems of poverty, as well as increases in crime and gang activity. Formal working conditions do improve. The Basic Conditions of Employment Act regulates hours, wages, and working conditions. The Employment Equity Act gives new opportunities through affirmative action to people that were historically disadvantaged. As far as social welfare, there was a significant increase in the number of people receiving benefits, receiving help from the government. By 2002, 7 million people out of a population of 45 million were dependent on social grants from the state. As of 2014, that increases more than doubles to 16 million were dependent on the state. So more and more people are desperate and asking for help from their government, 30% of the population, which shows if their economy is terrible, more people are going to ask for help. 6 times the number what they were asking for in 1994. So with a bad economy comes an increase in the need for Social Security to save people. Social welfare improved, but millions still really lacked the basic services, and inequality was still a major feature in society. And so here's the breakdown as far as when I say Social Security, here's what I mean as far as who's getting help. And so this is money to families and children that just quite aren't making enough money to survive. And so they might need things like some extra money for food. Same thing with old age. These are people that didn't save for their retirement, and so they need extra money or they're going to die. And then disability, people that need a little bit extra help because they have difficulty finding a job, things like that. And so these are the people that need help, and more people need help over time, especially resulting of the unemployment problem and the AIDS problem. Education. The number of children in school has increased after 1994, but the quality of the education still has a ways to go. There's a large gap between urban and rural schools, and you still get a bit of segregation. It's not legal segregation. A lot of the time it's just it's cultural, that they just haven't changed culturally yet. And so you still get all-black schools, you still get mixed schools, and you still get all-white schools across South Africa. In 2000, a UN study found that 4th grade South African children had the worst literacy rate in all of Africa, same with their math and life skills. So they have a ways to go in their education system to improve that. They really need to improve it if they want to have a stronger economy, because they need to move into jobs where high school diploma is necessary and college is necessary. They just don't have the education at this point. Healthcare. The state-funded medical care provided primary health care for thousands that never had it before. So thousands of people are finally getting health care for the first time, helping to prevent preventable diseases just through simple shots. We can start to prevent simple diseases. The quality of public hospitals got worse because they took money from the hospitals and gave it into clinics. And so we see this shift. And so whites and the black middle class, those that had the money, moved from the government healthcare system into private healthcare systems instead. it cost more money to go and buy your own healthcare, but the standard was much higher. It was better healthcare. Plus, the spread of AIDS was creating a lot of problems, so they really needed to fix this. And so this is a breakdown right here as far as total healthcare financing and the population coverage. This in this blue area, and that's the percentage of the population that's starting to go for just buying their own healthcare, and then the rest is the 68 is public services. So these hospitals are pretty not great. They're good for preventing disease and not necessarily treating it. But if you got the money, you can still go to a good hospital. Position of minorities, affirmative action central in this case. Supporters claim that it opens up new opportunities for the historically disadvantaged. However, critics claim that merit should be the only criteria for jobs in college. And so there's still fights over this, and there's fights over this in America. Keep in mind, they still have to be qualified, but they're going to go for a black female worker first, because they are trying to get more black female workers. The Black Economic Empowerment Program is seen as incredibly corrupt. Supporters claim there's been progress in getting more black ownership of companies and businesses. Critics claim it's only enriching a few politically connected people, while most people remain poor. So there's been some more black businesses, but it tends to be from people that are connected to the government. And so here's a little critical cartoon saying that all of Zuma's friends and family are getting these sweet deals. Women. The legal status of women has improved. By 2000, 30% of parliament members were women. However, women only had 13% of the top management jobs in business, and affirmative action has been helping to change this, but they got a ways to go. Women were the most affected by a lot of these bad social and economic conditions because they have the highest unemployment rate, they don't have land to farm, they have the highest problems when it comes to education, without education they're unskilled to get good jobs, and they don't have homes, so they are impacted more than any other part of the population. Plus, if things aren't going to get worse, they're also more vulnerable to HIV infection. By 2002, 12.8% of women and 9.5% of men had HIV in the entire country. So they're getting infected at a higher rate. Young women in their 20s were at high risk of dying from age-related illnesses. And this also connects to high levels of teenage pregnancy. And single motherhood make things more difficult because they're not just taking care of themselves, they have to take care of the kid as well, especially if friends and family are dying of HIV. The high levels of domestic violence, and so, wait, it gets worse. The high levels of domestic violence and the highest amount of rape in the world. One rape every 83 minutes in South Africa. So here are the statistics as far as the crime there when it comes to attempted murder, actual murder, and rape as of 2001. Despite government attempts to make more awareness programs and make people not do these horrible things, the efforts of political and religious leaders standing up against these problems, and projects from civil society organizations, violence against women and children remains a serious problem. There's also a lot of inequality of rural women due to traditional customary laws and tribal laws. Traditional tribal laws have women regarded as minors subject to the guardianship of their husbands or male family members, so they're almost property of the men in the family. They don't have the same rights of inheritance. It goes down from father to son and just kind of skips over wife. 1988 law recognized customary marriages, but it abolishes minority status. So it is trying to have both, in that we want to hold up traditions, but we want to have equality too. So the law doesn't really change much when it comes to the right to inherit property or own land in these systems where the chief is going to own most of the land. And so they're having this bit of a conflict between tradition and equality. We'll stop there.